Hi parents. So usually my videos are directed towards the children and fun activities they can do, but this video is for the parents today. I wanted to talk a little bit about something you might want to work on at home while you have this time together, and it is journaling. Now in my high tops class, we always start in September, and we usually start out kind of slow, maybe every couple weeks. Sometimes I just ask them to draw something that interests them. We do a lot of All About Me in September, so a lot of maybe self-portraits or draw your favorite toy, draw your favorite part of the classroom. And when we start, we really use it as a way for them to express themselves. So we're looking for them to do a little bit of drawing and then explain to an adult what is in their journal. And as we move into the spring, we maybe have more specific entry topics that we'd like them to write about, as well as expanding their time for free expression in their journal. So I've been working with Trevor at home. We started a quarantine journal, and I wanted to show you how we're doing it. So if you wanted to work on this at home, this is such a good, simple activity for your children to work on their handwriting skills, their letter recognition, their phonemic awareness, and their expressive skills. So this is a really great way, a very simple way to put a little time into all those areas. So as you saw, we called it his quarantine journal. You don't need to do that, but we did make it just a bunch of white paper here, stapled together so it opens like a book. And we did put a title on it. You definitely want to have your child's name, maybe their picture, something that shows ownership. You want them to feel ownership of their journal. This is something that belongs to them. It's something that should feel important to them. And I actually started it because I felt like I wanted to write down some of the experiences we've been having during this time. And in order to make time for myself to do that, I needed Trevor to be occupied. So he is also recording some of his experiences. So our first entry was April 20th. We didn't start right away. It's something that we got into a little later on. So even though, we're hoping we're nearing the end of this, things might start getting back to normal. It's still a great time to start. We have the summer coming up, plenty of time to work on this. And in the beginning, I just asked him to draw what he's been playing with. So he drew a picture of a dinosaur and one of his transformers. And on this one, I just recorded his words, a dinosaur and a transformer. And then he had names for them. This one's Boulder and a Brontosaurus. So I also wrote the names for him, and just getting him to associate the written words with these images and his ideas. So that's where our children should be at with writing right now. They're just trying to associate written words with some sort of thought or idea. Then as we moved on, his next entry is from the 27th, and we were doing a little bit of Lego video games. We played some Lego Pirates of the Caribbean. So I asked him again when we sat down to journal, I said, well, what have we been doing? What's interesting and new that you have been doing lately? And he said, the pirate game. So he drew this picture, and then I wrote down his words. He said, this is the pirate ship, this is us, and this is the big monster octopus we were stopping. And then I said, hey, would you like to write the word pirate on your picture? Now, depending where your child is at with their writing skills, as you can see, Trevor is at a point where he's adding a lot of details. He's been able to write his own name for some time now. So for him, I knew that writing one full word was within his skill set. If your child is still working on writing their name, if they're still working on making clear pictures or specific objects in pictures, maybe they're just doing more coloring, you might want to start with one letter. You could say, hey, that word pirate, that starts with the letter P. Let's write the letter P on your page. But again, since I know Trevor is up to writing full words, I wrote the word first on a piece of scrap paper. We looked at all the letters, identified the letters, and then I pointed to each one individually as he wrote, and you can see there, P-I-R-A-T-E. So you can see some of the letters are a little bit creatively made, and that's fine at this stage. That's absolutely where we would expect our 3.5, 4-year-olds to be. If your child has more experience writing, their letters might be a little more standard, but if they're at this stage right now, that's exactly what I would expect at this time of year. And then I happened to still be writing that day, so Trevor wanted to write something that he could send to someone. And so he wrote this note to send to his grandmother, my mom, and on it, let me see if I can separate it. Oh, he drew on the back. So he drew this picture, and then he made his own attempt at writing letters, which is another thing we're looking to see here. The children are starting to put their own letters on page because they're recognizing, yeah, that's Chughorn. Because they're recognizing that they have meaning. The letters he wrote here, because this is a brand new skill for him, don't necessarily associate to anything that he drew, which is a motorcycle. You can see he wrote letters S-L-O-O-O, and over here, I think it was T-I-O, and you can see they're randomly arranged. They don't necessarily associate to motorcycle, but he is moving into the skill of trying to add his own letters to the picture to express meaning, which is a great thing to see. Then he has a couple just other things here. And here's another one where he got a new bicycle. So after that experience, I said, hey, why don't we sit down and write about it? So you can do it either way. You can sit down first and then ask your child to think about any new experiences they might have, or maybe directly after having a new experience, maybe they see something interesting in the yard for the first time, or they have a FaceTime call with grandma and you say, hey, that was so great to see grandma, why don't we go draw a picture and you can write down what you got to say to her? Or that animal in the yard, wow, you've never seen one of those before. Let's go write it in your journal. You can draw a picture of it and describe what it was doing. So again, using the journal as a tool to help your children gain their expressive vocabulary and connect the written words to their ideas and to their feelings. And this one he had quite a lot to say, you can see, but I wanted to note that even include their maybe misused grammar. It says here, this motorcycle picture is written by a 4.5 boy. He didn't say 4.5-year-old. He didn't say written. So I recorded it as he wrote it, which is important for them because they want to know that their expression is important. So whatever they say, however they're saying it is fine to write down just exactly how they say it. And again, hello. We picked one keyword, which was bike, and I wrote it down on a scrap paper first, and then he was able to copy it. Again, if your child isn't quite there yet and they're writing progression, you might want to just pick one letter and then really focus on the formation of that letter. So for example, if Trevor wasn't quite writing his own name yet, I might just say bike. That starts with B. Let's write the letter B. And then I would really focus on letter B starting at the top and going to the bottom, jumping to the middle, and making that little loop around. And forgive me if I did that backwards and made a D. It's hard to tell in the camera. And then a little later on, we're continuing with the writing, and he got a new toy which he wanted to draw about. And again, we opened the new toy and then we played with it for a while, and then I said, hey, this is really exciting. why don't we go write this down in your journal? You can draw a picture of this new toy. So he did, and then I gave him, again, the words.
What new toy?
It was your Pokeball to write, and you can see already in the time that we've spent working, he's starting to improve his letters. This time we used a pen, so it came out a little darker too. So that might help if you notice that your child is maybe not
the Pokeball?
Making very distinct marks with something like a colored pencil. You can try a marker or a pen. They usually come out a little darker with a little less effort, and that way they can still practice their writing. They have that greater reward, and you also can see better what they're doing.
The Pokeball?
It's a little further in. Excuse us. So those are just some pointers on working on journals at home with your child and the ways you can help them develop their expressive language through this, connect written words to thoughts and ideas, and also work on their writing, their phonemic awareness by coming up with the sounds of the letters. For those of you who have older children, some of my children who are already at the 4.5 stage, they might be sounding out words on their own and trying to put some of those letters in, or children who have more of a phonemic awareness and a better handle on their fine motor skills, maybe at that stage as well, where they're already attaching sounds and letters together with the words that they're using. So they might want to try some of these words on their own. For example, if your child is drawing a picture of a cat, you can ask them to sound out the word and write the letters that they hear. Usually in the beginning, this starts with a lot of consonants. So you might see something like they'll say k, 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 and write the letter C, and then cat, and write the letter T, missing that middle vowel. It's perfectly fine at this stage. Just getting some of the letters identified and written down is excellent. And that's something I don't usually see from all students at this level at this point in the year, but there are usually a few who are kind of moving on to that stage. So if you're thinking about where you're going over the summer, or if you're not sure about where you're headed in September, you can just keep that in mind as kind of the next stage that they're going to start sounding out some of the words. And again, you want to start with just a couple key words. So not necessarily their whole idea, but after they share their idea with you, maybe pick out 1 or 2 key components and ask them to try writing it. So I hope this is something that you will get a chance to work on at home and enjoy doing together. If you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to email me and I can help point you in the right direction. Bye, everybody. See you soon.